let's kick this off. Yes, please. The first slide, it's way too small to present to, so that's why we've handed you out a copy of this. This is the roadmap. This is a next iteration of the roadmap we discussed during the launch. But all the facts are captured in one sheet. So this is the sheet and the strategy you can hold us, the team, accountable for. This is what we'll be delivering to you as the shareholders in the next 3 to 5 years. You'll see on the bottom the 4 key elements of our strategy. First, build up to cash flow positive. Then build out production in Gudrun. Work our exploration portfolio in the Southwest Peninsula. And then move into the bigger and greater South America. Focus on Trinidad initially. This is a team who is going to help it deliver to you. One picture, one comprehensive story. And if we've got updates, we'll update this slide and we'll redistribute so that everyone is aware of where we're going. And if there's any changes to the strategy, then we can communicate that in that way. So for you to enjoy and to read at your leisure. Next slide, please. So first a bit of words. You'll see that we've announced the successful restructuring of the Lind deal. The Lind deal was a legacy. Lind helped the company when it was still LGO and was very much in distress. They helped us to get rid of PNB Paribas. They're very supportive. When Gordon and I met them, they were falling over themselves to see how they can help us move the business along. And we had brought with us a couple of charts. What is really holding us back now is this 3p ceiling. There was a nice correlation every time our share price was around 3p or above. It immediately dropped back to 2.7, and that's where it then hovered along. So we were trading against the ceiling. So they understood. So they said, well, this is what we can do. We'll remove that ceiling. We'll turn the 3p into a base. We'll commit not to sell any of our shares for at least 6 months period. And the results are obvious. I think our share price already has broken through that ceiling, and we can comfortably say that now we've got 3p as a floor, meaning we've already added close to 5, 6, 7 million pounds of market cap to our business. Combined, the Lind deal and obviously the environmental approval we had.
Plus the additional capital that
plus Lind put in another 750 plus the September coupon payment, so which adds another $800,000 to our coffers to spend wisely. So financially, we're in a very strong, robust position. Particularly because of our financial prudence. We've reduced our G&A by 30%. The logic we employ around our well operations that we've got a raft of projects we can do. We'll only do a project if we believe the project can pay itself back within a month. It's a very short payback period. So, and I'll show you a couple of charts where some of the projects have paid back in a day. So it's very exciting times at the moment. The live within our means, any funding. I keep pressing this. We don't need cash. We will not come to the shareholders and dilute you any further. The only way we'll accept further cash in our business, and that's how it is. We've got people lining up to give us cash, is if we can make a partnership which is stronger and immediately shows the accretive element in the combined businesses. That's a very strong commitment we have. And if you've got any people out there who don't believe this, we're going to show them wrong. Next slide. This is all telling. And this is warts and all. This is our production chart from when we started really running this business. when we first started, we set ourselves a target. By the end of the year, we need to be around 550 barrels per day production to be able to achieve this goal of being cash flow positive. That's the magic number we need. With our current spend program, we need 550 barrels per day to be cash flow positive.
Can I just reiterate on that? The cash flow positive means cash flow positive across the whole group, covering the legacy costs that we have in Spain, the company costs of the G&A, London, etc. Between 500 and 550 barrels, we're making money right across the group, and then we can use that money to reinvest.
Yeah. So the blue line, that's our target. End of the year, it's 542. And then the interim steps are elements in our work program which we believe will add the incremental steps. The orange line is our actual production. And you see that initially we had a bit of success, but then subsequently we were hit with one of the bad storms again. First we had Storm Brett in the Caribbean, and this was this big dip down. We had 3 days of complete field outage where a power line a tree fell onto our power line where we had no power to our field, so as a result we had no production, power to our pumps, and we had no production. We don't accept that as red. So what we've done immediately after that, we recognize the sensitivity of us needing power to get our production. So we've strategically placed emergency generators in our field, which are on standby all the time. So if something like that happens again, we can guarantee to have still at least 2/3 of our production through those emergency generators. So yes, it's an event which caught us by surprise, but we haven't sat back and waited for the next one to hit us again. And then following that period, we came back up again to close to target. And then we entered into a phase where you need to crack a few eggs to make an omelette. So we had to take a few wells offline, started work on them, and then bring them back, learn what we've done to those wells. And then you can see from, I think it was middle of August, you see a very gradual, consistent increase in production. We are getting things right. We are building to our production base, and these charts are enormously exciting in my mind. In my career, go ahead.
Sorry, we moved off that previous slide. Just explain what the 542 barrels per day makes cash flow positive based on what oil price?
Yeah. So the question is.
45.
Well, the question is, at what oil price are we cash flow positive considering 550 barrels? So our screening criteria is $45 per barrel. We are consistently higher. So I think we're getting 48. So we're already in a better position.
Second question from me, the emergency generators that you've installed, are
Yes.
they leased or have they been purchased?
They were in the field already, surprisingly. So there's no new purchases. It's just it was a rewiring of the system we had in place already.
Thank you.
So this is the first well we touched, GUI 664. When Stuart and I visited the field the first time, we walked up to the main camp and we saw a well sitting there. I think I've tweeted a picture, just sitting there on a stopcock. So stopcock means you close the well for 12 hours, you allow the well to build up, and you open it, and then it produces for 12 hours. The well was a pretty good well, was doing 30 barrels a day. So that's why people were always very careful not to touch it, because 30 barrels for us is quite a bit of oil. Well, Stuart and I said, well, this is underperforming, under-delivering. So let's put a pump on. That's what we did. Initially, we had a bit of blowdown production, so we opened up the well, kept it open. Then we put the pump on. Then the pump did a good job. Then the well started doing 40, 50 barrels. And then we became greedy, and we asked it to do 60 to 70 barrels a day, and then it sent it up. So the reservoir is talking to us. So if you overproduce, the reservoir will start giving you sand, and your pump will then, as a result, stop pumping properly, and you damage your system downhole. So that happened to us. So we cleaned out the well, we changed the pump configuration downhole, and now we are consistently seeing increased production at a low sand rate. So the well is up to 70 barrels a day now. So from 30, that's nearly a 40 barrels a day increase on one single well. And we've got it in a stable producing mode now already for 14 days. So I'm comfortable to commit that we can even increase this rate responsibly to close to 100 barrels a day. And that is just by tuning up and increasing the pump speed. The cost of this whole operation was less than $15,000. It's equipment we have sitting on the shelves. It is just looking at the reservoir, understanding the wells and what they can do for us, doing things right, not spending a lot of money on it. This is a longer story. Well 683 was one of the wells which was drilled early on this year. It was drilled. The cost of drilling it was between $500,000 and $600,000. Initial rates of the well early on in the year was around 45 barrels a day. And then, as we saw from all the other wells, it very quickly turned into decline, to the point where it was doing less than 10 barrels a day when we got our hands on it. So what to do with this well? So you've got a brand new well, brand new kit, but it's not producing anything. So we've developed a program, a scheme, which we call well stimulation. We're a bit careful to share exactly what we're doing because we think it's a competitive advantage in the region. I think what we're doing to these wells will work on a lot of wells in Trinidad. So we want to keep that for ourselves because we want to expand our business in Trinidad. So, but it's got all to do about cleaning the perforations, making sure the perforations and the fluid is free to flow into the well. So that's the immediate radius. The next bit is we believe that in our reservoirs there is a lot of fines migration. So with the oil and water which is producing and coming into the well, there's also fines coming. It's small clay particles, which then clogs up your near wellbore radius. And there is a larger extent that you need to be able to connect as much reservoir as possible. So we call it well stimulation. It's a combination of things, but what effectively we're doing, we're cleaning up the perforations, we're removing the fines, and we're connecting the wells to a larger inflow radius. And the results are tremendous. So this well was doing 10 barrels a day before we did the workover. And now it is capable to produce in excess of 100. We've seen rates of 80 barrels a day already. So that's a 70 barrel per day increase.
And when you say you're protecting your, let's say, competitive advantage,
Yes.
Is that with a view to not enhancing competitors' flow rates, or is it in the hope that they'll drop off their perch and maybe we add to the portfolio?
So the question is, why am I careful not sharing the information, and why do I believe that we've got a competitive advantage, and how we're going to use it? We've got a strong relationship with Petroton and country. Columbus, we maintained our relationship during the bad spot, and there are several fields which Petroton is looking to try and optimize by handing them over to companies like ourselves. We want to be the company of choice. We know what to do with these mature fields. We know how to work these pumps. We know how to improve the inflow performance of these wells without spending a lot of cash. On this well, we spent less than $5,000. And now it's doing, how much? 10 times more. It's a tenfold increase in production for $5,000. That's a big bang for your buck, and we're going to be very profitable as a result. And this is an even more spectacular result. So this is well GUI 211. If you look at the numbers of the wells, the smaller the number, the older the well is. So this is a relatively old well. I think this was drilled in the 90s. It was trundling along. It was doing 2-3 barrels a day. It was just sitting there with a donkey, an old rusted thing, just not looked after at all. We did our same treatment. During the treatment, we noticed water coming out of 2 wells around it. So that proved another thing, which I'll talk about later. But this one well from 3 barrels a day shot up to 60 barrels a day. There's a disclaimer there. I don't believe this well will continue to do 60 barrels of production per day. I think this well will come back to somewhere between 40 and 20 barrels per day. But that's fine. That's a very good result, and again at a very low cost of getting the extra production. So these are the first 3 wells we touched in the field, starting August. We are doing one of these stimulations every week. We've done 2 more. We've done 290, and we've done recently 731. Similar results. We are connecting larger portions of the reservoir. We are cleaning up the wells, and we are improving our production. Why am I so confident that we're going to be achieving our end of year target and beating it by some margin? Is because our well stock. In total, we've got I've got a list here. In total, we've got 161 wells, of which 66 wells we can do the similar treatment on. 66 wells times 20 barrels. Do the math. We are going to be beating our targets by the end of the year. So I'm completely confident that we're going to be there.
Of those 160 wells that we have in the field, 120 of them we can actually do things with, whether it's water injection or getting water from. So as well as the wells that we can attack, the 60 wells we attack, we've got other wells we can use to support those other wells. So we've got a big well stock, which have all been paid for. That's all money in the ground that's been paid for over all those years, either by LGO or previously. So we've got a big target we can now aim at in terms of just steadily increasing the production.
Yeah. Our remit, though, always remains that under-promise, over-deliver. That goes down well with everyone. That's how I was brought up. So we'll never over-promise, and we'll only promise something if we're confident we can deliver on it. So hence, we stick to our 550 barrel target. So I talked to two of the 3 strategic directions we're going in increasing our production. One is simple pump optimization, which was the 664. 2 was the well stimulation, which was the 2 other examples. And now we get to number 3, which is water injection. You will have seen our RNS. We are very proud to have received the environmental clearance already, which is a year ahead of plan. So immediately after receiving, or well, already before receiving the environmental permit, we had been injecting water into the ground. I think you need to click on this for it too.
Is it moved, is it?
Yeah.
Where?
Just on the picture itself. There you go. So what you see here, the blue is the water injection pump. It's pumping into a well 669, and this pump 670 it is physically pumping out oil. So 669 we believe is connected with 670. So if we pump water in 669, then the reservoirs are connected, and 669 is pushing it's remaining oil into the 670 direction. So that is the water injection logic. Nothing to do with the other initiatives we're doing. This will give us long-term sustained production. This will build pressure up in the reservoir, and it will make sure that we continuously produce 1,500 to 2,500 barrels per day for a very long time. We've got the permits now. We've got the equipment in field. We've been doing it, so we understand that the reservoirs and the reservoir behaviors. And I'll show you.
The reason for 670? What was the 670?
Yeah. So why do we pick this particular well? 670 was our biggest producer ever. That was the one which in 2015 produced 1,000 barrels per day. So that's got the highest production potential. So that's why we picked 669 as a well to support it, because we believe that wells is in the same block. So if we get water into that same block, there is a chance that we can get 670 back to where it was producing before. Well, yeah, it's a bit of a guessing game now to where it's going to be, but it could be hundreds of barrels. Where are we getting our water from? It's primarily produced water. So as you know, we've got two sand packages. There's deeper sea sands and the more shallower Mayaro sands. The shallower Mayaro sands, they often produce some water as well. Some wells are up to 50% water, which normally is a pain in the neck because you need to do something with water. In our case, it's a saving grace, because we're going to use that water to re-inject into the deeper reservoirs and help pressure support the deeper, higher productive wells. This is a pretty technical chart, but and it is very early on during the interference test and during our first water injection trials. We've been getting this response, and again, very, very encouraging. So the blue bars are the days where we were water injecting, and the orange dots are the derived bottom hole pressures in the well 670. So we were pumping water in 669, and the orange dots were the pressure response we were seeing in the well was producing. This is all a dynamic situation, and the way we were deriving pressures is from fluid contacts, from fluid levels. So it is not a direct pressure measurement, but it's not 100% certain yet but the correlation is so strong. That's why I had to show it to you. You can see that this dotted line is effectively, you can see as we continue to build, to inject water, you can see the pressure in the 670 well to come up to the point where the moment we stopped injecting in 669, the pressure started coming down again. So that's nearly a perfect correlation. It's even better that because the pump had some maintenance work to do for 2 days, so it stopped pumping for 2 days, and then you can see that the speed at which the line increased reduced as well, the bottom of pressure. So I believe, we're still having bets in the office, but I believe this is a direct correlation of that the wells are connected and that water injection is going to work in this particular block. And with the permits in place, we can now really get after this and build up our next tranche of production. Southwest Peninsula. The story is a bit like, do we really want to share everything on the Southwest Peninsula? We're treading a fine line. We're in the Southwest Peninsula. We are still in commercial negotiations with some of the players. We want to extend our position in that area because we're very interested in the area, as you know and as you've heard before. We've brought in a commercial specialist, a good friend of mine, Tony Hawkins. I brought him across from Sterling Energy, and he is making sure that we've got the right commercial terms in the event we are going go for a big exploration campaign in the Southwest Peninsula. So he's going to make sure that there's no leakage of value. We've got the right permits in place, and we've got the right commercial foundations to really build a Southwest Peninsula portfolio. Why I'm a bit coy, because every time we look at this, it becomes more interesting. The two things I can share is that re-looking at the data, we believe that initially we believed that the well costs were going to be around $10 to $15 million per well, and we had 4 main targets. Looking at the data, we are changing our opinion. We now think that we can drill more than a dozen targets in the area, and the well cost is going to be in the range of $2 to $4 million per well. And to make it even easier, there's multiple targets you can drill in one well. That means a lot of things. That means we don't need partners anymore to do the exploration campaign in the Southwest Peninsula. We can run this from our own cash flow generated in Gudrun. So that makes even a stronger commercial sense to now go it alone, build up a strong exploration capability within our business, and only bring in partners and external people when there is a massive value uplift, hundreds of millions rather than tens of millions.
The rock?
Yeah, it just comes crawling out of the earth. There's much volcanoes there. Literally, oil-laden rocks are laying on the beach. If you put them in water, they make an oil stain on the water. So that is oil, we know. That is oil. And then the last, I'd like to close this presentation and then open up for questions if there's any further questions. We're so opportunity rich that we need to focus on where we go first. The portfolio is massive. The first part of the conversation was all about Gudrun production enhancement, and each of the bubbles is approximately the value of each of the opportunity. I talked about our relationship with Petrotrin. We believe we can, within our current capabilities, we can operate more fields than just Gudrun. Within Gudrun itself, there's exploration. There's Bonas, which we, after Tony's done his work, we can build up production. And then there is the Southwest Peninsula. To give you a proper indication of the scale of this biggest bubble, this biggest green bubble, if I would draw it to scale, it would be the size of the wall in terms of all the other bubbles. So that's the big prize to go for, and that's going to give us a transformational transformational opportunity within our business. So, in conclusion, we are seeing results from our workover programs. We're building production. We're increasingly excited about what we see in the Southwest Peninsula. We've got a strong reputation in country, and we're delivering on our promises. So, good results for the first 3 months.